Welcome to the first in a monthly series of podcasts called The Story of the Song. Each month I'm going to look at one of my songs and maybe I'm going to tell you why it was written or how it was written or where it was written or just something that I think may be of interest to you. Fish Out of Water is perhaps the oldest song in my repertoire that I still sing. I wrote it in the early to mid-90s in New York City where I was living, and I don't think I've done a concert since then without playing that song, Fish Out of Water. It's also my most popular song on Spotify for some reason, so maybe it resonates with people. What's it about? Well, it's about being an outsider. It's about feeling like an outsider, always feeling like a stranger, always feeling like a fish out of water. And I guess that's the feeling I've had most of my life, no surprise. And it reminded me when I started thinking about doing this series and thinking about that particular song, it reminded me of something that happened way back in about 1975. I was in between trips to Europe. I used to go backwards and forwards to Europe, busking, playing clubs, doing whatever. And I had this old bandwagon, a Ford Transit, that I wanted to turn into a camping van. And in fact, I wanted to go across the desert of Morocco down to Agadir. Now, in fact, I didn't set foot on African soil for a completely other reason. I ran into an ex-foreign legionnaire when I was on my way through France to North Africa, who took one look at my van and said I'd be dead in 2 days if I took it across the desert. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, there I was in Oxford with a friend, Martin, who had a workshop yard, which he said I could borrow to spend some time doing up my van. So every day I was there, putting water tanks on the roof, spare tyres, bolting a double bed to the floor, and putting a stereo in and airplane seats, turning it into a really great camper van to travel. And every day as I was working on this, a guy, maybe about 30-something, would walk past with his young daughter on the way to school, taking her to school, I guess. And every day he looked up at me and he said, "Morning." And I said, "Morning." And finally, after about 3 or 4 days, his curiosity got the better of him. And he said to me, "So what are you doing with that there van then?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing it up to go off around the world." And he looked at me and said, "Rather you than me." And I suppose that's the difference between people like me and people like him. Some of us live for adventure and don't always take into account the consequences. Anyway, so there I was living in New York in the early to mid-90s and playing the clubs, Café Chenet, CBGBs, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote this song, probably in response to some family stuff, which is a bit more private, so I won't talk about that. However, I wrote Fish Out of Water, and it's been with me ever since. The version I'm going to play at the end of this podcast is a version that started life in about 2011 in a studio in Brighton, and I finally finished it here in Brittany in 2020, I think, or maybe 22, I can't remember. Anyway, I hope you like it. Life would be easy if you just settled down. But life would be hard without digging and flying and aching and crying. Like a fish out of water, I'd drown. See you next month. Of course, I forgot something. In a little postscript, I should also add that this song I entered into a songwriting competition in San Marino, the Republic of San Marino, where I've just been spending. I spent a week there, and I won. So the song is now an award-winning song. 93 to now is what, 35 years, is it? I don't know. It's over 30 years this song finally got some recognition.
What do you want to be a hero for? You know you'll only get yourself noticed, sticking your big head up above everyone. Why do you wanna climb that mountain for? You know you'll only slip and hurt your big toe. Surely there are safer ways to have fun. Oh, life would be easy if you just settle down. Yeah, but life would be hard without digging and flying, and aching and crying. Like a fish out of water I drown. Why do you wanna go to outer space? You know it's cold and there's no cable TV. What are you gonna do on rainy afternoons? Why do you wanna go so deep-sea diving? Maybe some big fish is gonna eat you. Don't you know they got 'em all in the zoo? Oh, life would be easy if you just settle down. Yeah, but life would be hard without digging and flying, and aching and crying. Like a fish out of water I drown. Life, like a fish out of water I drown. Why do you wanna leave your hometown? All your friends and families here, I think they'll miss you. Don't you think you'll get a little lonely too? Why do you wanna go adventuring? It's not as if there's nothing here you couldn't do. Don't you know we got our own mountains too? Oh, life would be easy if you just settle down. Yeah, but life would be hard without digging and flying, and aching and crying. Like a fish out of water I drown. Just settle down. Yeah, but life would be hard without digging and flying, and aching and crying, without slipping and falling, and screaming and crawling. Like a fish out of water I drown. What do you wanna be a hero for? You know you'll only get yourself noticed.